the audio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to MangaPod. We're a weekly podcast which we all get together after we've read all or part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. This week, we are talking Hidamari ga Kikoeru. Still, I get stuck on the Kiko. The Kikoeru.
Yeah.
Or I can hear a sunspot. Let's do that one. I hear a sunspot. Much easier for me to pronounce. Chapters 1 through 22-ish-esque.
We read all of it.
We read all of it.
So far.
Yes, everything that's out. Just because chapter count was a little wonky on this one. But I am Erin at Happily Erin, your host, and with me are two of my three lovely co-hosts. Go around and introduce yourselves, please.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, that burp had nothing to do with you. It was all me. I'm Dodger, and I'm excited to talk about this. And also, once Lou is done, we have something else that must occur before we can continue. But Lou, please introduce yourself first.
I'm gonna be brief, or maybe I should just prolong this to like just milk the moment and build anticipation. My name's Lou from Talks Anime. How's it going, everybody?
Yo.
It's Erin's birthday pod. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So we are going to sing her happy birthday, and y'all need to join in. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday, dear Erin.
Happy birthday to you.
Yay! I loved it.
More.
I loved it. Those the beats you guys are dropping were good. I loved it.
Thank you. We threw some twang in there.
I liked it.
Just for you.
Check out our new album. It's on SoundCloud.
Just a compilation of all the times we've sang happy birthday on MangaPod.
Oh my god. It probably does this. We're like, how can it get worse? How are they even worse at singing it than before?
It's like, how does it keep happening? They've been doing it for years. Thanks, guys. You're so sweet. I appreciate it. If you guys have never joined us for a MangaPod before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, aka summary, and then we'll give you our spoiler-free recommendations whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not. That way, if it sounds like something you are interested in, you can take your leave once we get to spoiler section, go read it, and then come back and watch the VOD of this on youtube.com/happilyerin. We asked that nobody post anything. Had to think for a second. I've only done this like 200 and some times, and I gotta still remember things every now and then. We asked that nobody post any spoilers for anything in the chat until we get to spoiler section, and once we get there, you don't have to worry because we read everything that's out. So no worries about fake spoilers or anything like that.
Oh my god, the dream.
I know, it's so rare that happens.
It's true.
So rare that we read all of something that's out, or something that's short enough to read all of something that's out, or just so nice.
Who's reading the summary? Are you gonna read it?
Yes. Just had to.
Erin loves her tea. It's the best tea she's ever had.
You should totally tweet out that recipe, and everyone who has an opportunity to have it should have it.
Can try it.
So they can appreciate
my maple ginger, Vermont maple ginger tea.
Yes.
That's so good. All right, synopsis. Because of a hearing disability, Kohei is often misunderstood and has trouble integrating into life on campus, so he learns to keep his distance. That is until he meets the outspoken and cheerful Taichi. He tells Kohei that his hearing loss is not his fault. Taichi's words cut through Kohei's usual defense mechanisms and open his heart. More than friends, less than lovers, the relationship changes Kohei forever. Do. Short and sweet. Done. Boom.
Sweet.
Spoiler-free recommendations. Who would like to go first?
I'm down to go first. I did not know what to expect from this manga at all, and I loved how many different insights are in this manga. Like from the description, honestly, it sounds really fluffy, but they really do discuss the deaf and hard of hearing communities, and and it's fascinating. I thought that it was really, really well done, and I got really invested in all of the characters, and I want all of them to be super happy. And I just really liked that they incorporated so many different viewpoints and aspects of that world. So I really liked it. Yeah, it does have some of the sort of shoujo-y stuff going on in it that can be super frustrating. But overall, I think that the benefits outweigh the negatives. I would recommend it.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo those thoughts. I don't really have any major complaints about the way the story was told. The art was pretty okay. There were a few every now and then there would be some questionable weird faces, but that was not the norm. There was a lot when detail was necessary and moments had to look pretty, it looked pretty. So I really have no complaints, no significant complaints to levy against this. So I recommend it as well.
Awesome. I also recommend it. I think it's really sweet while handling a lot of emotions and heavier things, but doing it in a really nice way that kind of gives you insight into a bunch of different viewpoints and how different people are handling things. And then also, I love very character-driven stories, which this very much is, and also characters who are finding help for what they're struggling with, finding help through other people while also making their own choices and deciding to kind of handle those troubles on their own while relying on other people at the same time. And so I just love that kind of relationship dynamic and seeing people experience that. And I love all the characters. I got really invested in all of them, and I think they're really sweet, and all the relationships. I love seeing the relationships develop, and so much cute stuff. I love slower paced, chill stories, and I just love this kind of watching them rely on each other and grow closer and just seeing how that plays out. And so I really love this manga. I've read it, or we'll get into that in the next question. But I recommend this, especially if you're looking for something that's sweet and fluffy, but also has a lot of big emotions that it deals with really well.
There's more depth than you think there's going to be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I agree with... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just pulled up the wiki for this because I didn't do that before. Apparently there's a live action version of this.
Mm-hmm. I did stumble onto that.
Yeah.
If you have seen the live action and it deviates, it may end up deviating from the story, so please don't discuss the live action.
Good point. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, there is a live action. There's no anime of it as of right now. But I was going to say I agree with Lou about the art, that it was very, very pretty when it needed to be, and other times it told the story really well. It fit the story. There was never any real oh boy, what's happening? What's happening to you here with the art? Yeah. So the art is very, especially the covers. The covers of the art are very pretty. So we all recommend it. If it sounds like something you are not wanting to be spoiled on, then go ahead and take your leave. We're going to jump into spoiler section. Wow, I echoed in somebody's headphones.
It was incredible. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Miho is God.
Ryu is God.
I love Miho. She's so aggro.
See, I think Ryu as kind of a chaotic force of nature that's just kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So that he for me is the God character.
He hardcore is. They changed, he's the one when he comes in, he kind of takes over, and even he's the first one that we see never like only using sign language, and so they have to use like all new text to like show what he's saying and stuff.
To show you like who's doing what. Yeah.
Yeah, so he like just brings in a whirlwind. His intro too. It's just in itself. But anyway, let's start with the question that we always typically start with. What were you expecting before reading this manga? What I was going to say before was I have read part of this manga before. I didn't remember a ton of specifics about it. I remember really enjoying it, but never like delved super far into it. I didn't get much past the like I don't even think I got to where they had mutually confessed, the snow confession. I hadn't gotten to that
confession yet.
I hadn't gotten to that part yet. And so I read it it'd been a while ago. So I was excited to get to go back and read it just because it's also a lot of times on manga forums and different places when they're discussing romance manga, but also like shonen ai manga or boys love recommendations, it's always one that's near the top that people highly recommend and also would love to see made into an anime, as opposed to, if you're familiar with yaoi or anything, the series that tend to become anime are not necessarily the least problematic, or even, you know, that from my point of view, that great. So, so this is one that always, whenever people bring about shows manga they'd like to see animated, it's always highly rated as one that people would love to see as part of the genre to become animated. So I was really excited to go back and get to read it, and I still loved it. I really enjoyed it. Got really invested into it and read it really quick, and my heart swelled the whole time. I just loved it.
Yeah, I kind of said this already, but I expected it to just be very fluffy, just like, oh, one of them is hard of hearing, one of them isn't, and they learn to understand each other and they make out a little bit, right? Like, it's kind of what I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect it, number one, to span so much time, and number two, for it to delve so far into sort of like the way that in all aspects of life, like different cliques can be so isolating. Like being sort of in the middle can be such an isolating feeling, and kind of going into people who are hard of hearing versus people who are completely deaf, and how sometimes they're compared as like, well, at least you can hear, right? That kind of a thing. And I was like, fuck, I actually had never really thought of that. And I thought that the way that they discussed so many different aspects of the community, so many different ways that that you can like be involved in it. I just thought that it was all of those aspects of it I thought were so well done and really thought-provoking. And I liked that we had so many different characters who were either deaf or hard of hearing that that gave different viewpoints and felt differently about it. And I just thought that all of that was so well done, and I didn't expect it at all.
Cool. I expected deep dicking.
Did you think the come at me bro scene was gonna end with
I mean
something?
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, yay! And I still liked how it went, but I was at the same time like, what? I was so trained to expect more.
Fuck. The when I was saying that there are some shoujo aspects to this that drive me fucking crazy, it's all of the like miscommunication and like, no, it's fine.
But
not fucking talking to each other.
No, that's totally that's thematically cohesive with the disability, because the disability is a metaphor for their inability to communicate.
Sometimes they do.
I feel like
and
I
those
feel like I
moments
just
are like, yes.
I feel like I just word vomited a Tumblr post. Yeah.
Like even when they do talk about stuff, in the end, like the next scene will be Taichi being like, but we're not really like dating.
They
right?
haven't like
or
figured
are we
out.
Dating?
Yeah.
Are we dating? Friends don't kiss, right? I'm like, what is happening?
It's it's like
there was that part during the Snow confession where he's like, "It's your fault I'm gay, so you better take responsibility, you bastard."
That's a classic. I
It's
feel
a
like that shows
super
up in a
classic.
lot of Shonen.
Yeah, that's all the time. But what's nice about this one is they never like bring it up repeatedly. Like a lot of times it's beaten in as this weird, I don't know, like internalized like homophobia part of it where it's just like, no, like they're not actually gay, they just like each other, but we can't actually say. Whereas this, like he says it the once, and then after that there's no like, there's not as much of them being like, oh wait, we're guys and we shouldn't be doing this or anything like that.
Yeah, they really don't go into like a homophobia place at all with this manga, which I really appreciate, because there's already enough like important emotional stuff going on that like, not that it wouldn't, be applicable, but
Yeah. It's a very refreshing when you've read a bunch in the genre, to have a manga that kind of treats it so nicely and isn't constantly reminding you or trying to like force some different kind of viewpoint with it. It's nice to just have it be the fact that, hey, it's a gay relationship and a story that overall it's not story just because they're gay, it's the relationship and everything around it that's just as like that's important, and that's the story that's being told.
Like with Miho. So when Miho texted him being like, are you in love with Taichi? I was like, fuck, this is where it's gonna start, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, you're really perceptive. I totally am. And it's never like, from then on, the only issue she has with it is that she still doesn't really like him very much.
Yeah.
Like she's still just super protective of her senpai. And that's it. Like it's the same issue they had before that conversation happened,
Yeah.
So like stuff like little things like that I appreciated.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So like going back to my expectations, I knew this was BL. I was completely caught off guard for everything else. I didn't remember any of the summary. So
I read it really bad too.
And then
did you blank everything?
and then I like as I was reading, like okay, this is about someone with a disability, and I instantly remembered 10 Count.
And
oh
gosh. Yeah.
So that's like after I got about 10 chapters in, and it was like super wholesome and adorable. I was like, all right, we got a couple piggyback rides. This is cool.
My favorite.
And then eventually read a little bit more, and okay, they're at the point where they're probably gonna have sex, and it just becomes this hilarious and then kind of cute situation, and then I don't know, like it's like you're just waiting for the deep dicking, and it doesn't happen. I'm sorry.
They haven't even done a spit kiss yet, Lou. Like that's first tier.
There was
deep dicking.
There was no spit kiss, but they did mention that they used tongue.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then they stopped.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that MangaPod has ruined anything boys love.
Because literally all we've read has been. Oh no! This should redeem it.
Wait, have we not?
No, we read. Lou wasn't here for. We did 7 days, but Lou, you weren't here for that when we did that one.
I remember so vividly. I can't remember what our very first Yaoi pod was. I remember
Doshite something. What was that?
I remember Lou being
no
like,
touching.
There's not nearly enough dick in this. There wasn't nearly enough.
But there was dick. Is the point? Like this is just pure romance.
More, though.
This is just pure romance. Can I say, kind of piggybacking off what you're talking about, how they get to the point where they're talking about having sex? That is another thing that's so refreshing in a BL manga, is the fact that it's like they're openly talking about consent, and not even just in like BL, but also like a romance or something where like sex is a thing. They're like openly talking about consent and how they are both consenting to it. It's just the fact that they are like so fucking awkward and have no idea what they're doing. Like they both, like, it's implied that they've got like, if like they've read up on it or done something, but they're both just like, but now that we're here, we don't really know what we're doing because we're just these awkward kids who like are like, we like each other, but how do we start touching? And so it's just like, I love the fact that they're like openly discussing it and being awkward, and then it like goes into the weird thumb wrestle thing, and then it's like I still don't know what they're.
That was just a euphemism for what they were actually
for who was going to be on top. They were figuring it out.
It honestly, like, that whole scene felt so real. Like, so just like, okay, I guess we're gonna do this. Thumb war. Oh God.
Wait, no, we actually need
so
to do
awkward.
And the one part where, like, there is a moment in it when they're talking about it where Taichi is, like, saying how, like, he's awkward, like, he feels weird about it. And you can kind of see in Kohei's face where it's, like, he's trying to think about if it's because of the fact that Kohei's a guy and not a girl, and if that's what is bothering Taichi. But really what it is Taichi's just like, I love you, and I want to touch you, but I really don't know how. Hi!
Say hi, Judah. These are my friends. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, talk a little louder. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi!
Boy,
How are
it's
you,
11
Judah?
o'clock. They're asking how you doing.
Good.
Good.
That's actually Jacob and only one Jacob.
All right. You have to go to bed because it is super late. Goodbye.
Good night, Judah.
Good night. Oh my gosh, he's so cute.
So cute.
Thank you.
It's adorable. Yeah. I don't remember what it was. Oh, the fact that, like, because a lot of times that also is just, like, we were going back to, like, how they talk about, like, I'm gay now, but a lot of times they're like, oh, just constantly bringing that up. And so it was nice to have it be like, oh, no, he's not awkward about the fact that Kohei's a guy. Like, he loves him because he's a guy, because he's in love with Kohei. He's awkward about the fact that it's sexual in any way. Like, they just don't know what they're doing. That was something else that was really refreshing.
What's the name of our chaotic god?
Ryu?
Oh, Ryu.
Ryu, that's right.
Yeah.
So, Ryu, I really like because he's characterized as being very unlikable, but brings up points that you can't refute, right? Like when you're listening to him, when he's like talking about how he feels about himself and other people in the community, and like whether or not they should feel as though not being able to hear is like a disability, really, or you know. All of those conversations I thought were so interesting, and I loved the way that it culminated in whatever chapter it was, 22, 20, whatever
Wherever
it was.
we were.
with the reveal that Taichi totally dropped out of school and took this job because he was like inspired to help people like this person who he's fallen in love with, right? And like how if that conversation hadn't have happened with Ryu, I think we probably as readers would have taken it as like, oh, it's so sweet, right? But because that conversation did happen and Ryu brought up the point of like, I believe if you are a person in the deaf community and you are with someone who can hear, then they will always see like a film of your disability, right? Like they will always see that as like a dominating aspect of who you are. And then to have like immediately after that, to have Taichi say, yeah, well, I did this because of you, right? I want to help people that are like you. And you could see that like that totally made the wheels turn in a negative way. And I was like, oh, fuck. I thought that the way that moments like that were constructed over time was really well done.
Yeah, the way that they place the insecurities of not just the characters, but the relationship too. I feel has been building really well, because you get it's never like heavy-handed. It doesn't feel like drama for the sake of drama, which can happen so easily. And so I really, like you said, enjoy the way that they put in, and it's been building to these insecurities. And we know there's going to be a breaking point. We know something's going to happen, because both characters, like, they kind of come together, but there's still this stuff between them that they aren't figuring out. Like, they aren't on the same level, even though they're like helping each other. They aren't on the same level in terms of how they like see each other and things like this. And so it's going to hit a breaking point. But I'm really liking the building blocks that we're getting towards that.
Me too. And you're right. There haven't, honestly, like the moments that I thought were going to turn into like stupid love triangle moments haven't really, even if there has been jealousy of some kind involved, it hasn't been done in a way where I've been irritated by it. It's been like understandable and like rooted in something, you know?
And even like with Chiba, the guy at Taichi's work, like
I love Chiba.
I love him so much.
He's great.
I love him. And it's totally understanding like Kohei's jealousy towards that, like just seeing, but it's never in a way where he's like makes it really awkward, or he treats Taichi negatively because or he's suspicious or anything. He's just feeling the normal jealousy. Sherlock's eyes looked so creepy there.
Eyes are so creepy, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh my gosh.
you look like a demon. What's going on with you?
Sherlock, what's happening?
Come on, buddy.
But it's handled like in a way that feels a lot less played up for drama than it could have in other series.
Yeah. The whole dynamic between the two mains, honestly, like Dodger was mentioning the shoujo tropes in it. I think this manga handled those tropes a lot better than most shoujo series.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like they're like I felt like I was reading about actual people, you know, up to a certain extent. Then there were the bits where it got like really cartoony with their reactions, but you know, a lot of that is also rooted in the fact that they're discovering something about themselves that they have lived 20 something years without really knowing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that this story is it couldn't or it wouldn't have its impact if the mangaka didn't take the time to really cultivate those characters and have a really thoughtful approach with how their relationship and they as individuals would interact with other people outside of the relationship, which is something I feel that most manga in general, just regardless of genre, tend to fall short of.
Even like Taichi, like his character is one we see all the time. He's most common in like shonen series.
Yeah.
The like hungry all the time, fights people even though he's small, like just constantly gets into fights.
Overly ganky,
loud. But the fact like the manga would not work at all if he wasn't that character. And so I love the fact that he's that character, because that's the character that the other main character needed to like start learning about himself and start changing and like bring that light to his world. And so he's that stereotypical character, but for a purpose, not just to be like, this is the character that's always popular. It's like, no, he needed to be that character. And I still love him for that. Like he still is that. He's all of that trope, but he's so great at the same time. I just love him. And seeing him go from not knowing what he wanted to do and learning, figuring out what it is he wants to do and how he's growing, I really liked getting to see that storyline too. So it's not just a stagnant, he is becoming his own person, like he's figuring out who he wants to be and Kohei is influencing that, but it's still, this is where he's feeling like he needs to be and what he wants to do. And so it's nice to see that it's a co-influence that they're doing there.
He's basically like Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, but instead of killing Titans, he wants to just love Kohei.
He just wants to love Kohei.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. Am I the only person who thought when Miho was like, the way that you take notes is abysmal? Was I the only, like, because she mentioned, like, you haven't been trained, like, you haven't been trained to take proper notes for someone. Was I the only person who thought, oh, he's gonna go learn how to take notes?
Yeah, because it's like, you think like, oh, well, that's what he's there for. He's there to be that crutch for the character.
Yeah. He'll learn how to take notes, right? And even when he joined the Sig N company, the sign company.
Yeah.
Even when he joined them, I was like, is he gonna head up note taking? Because they were like, we only do sign language, but we want to do more. And I was like, this is your shot. This is your chance. You can become a note taker now, a proper one.
Yeah, because he's set up that's what he's supposed to do. And I love the fact that he stays shitty at it the whole time. Like, he never gets better. He's really only doing it because he, like, wants the food. And then he starts to, like, feel things for Kohei. And he's like, all right, now I want to do it. But it's not what his calling is.
Yeah, and it winds up also being cute because even though Kohei is getting better notes when somebody else takes over, he's like, but there are no notes about the jokes that happened in class. He's like all sad about it. It's like, they're good notes, but they're not funny.
I love it whenever they would like show his writing, and his handwriting is so bad.
With like big X's through shit and stuff. You're just like, oh, buddy.
I love the fact too that Kohei never cared about cooking, even though his mom like is a famous chef and is on TV. He never cared about cooking until he realized he could cook for Taichi and make Taichi happy. And so that's how he started to finally learn how to cook. I was like, oh, my heart, how cute.
And his mom too. I love that his mom's like, yeah, she like makes a bunch of food and is like, oh, thank God you're here. If I had fed it to Kohei, it wouldn't have been nearly as satisfying because Taichi just looks like food is his life.
I mean,
so
same.
Funny. Yeah, right.
Agreed. What did you guys think about the girl, Miho? Is that what her name is?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you guys think about her? And when she was first introduced, what were your guys' thoughts when she was first introduced, and how did you think she was going to impact the story? And was that kind of, did what you expect happen, or were those kind of diverted?
I mean, at first she like came off as kind of just a standard underclassman type or little sister type character that's overprotective and doesn't want the love interest to have like to cross any boundaries. And seeing how she kind of like developed without like completely changing 180 degrees her perspective was kind of refreshing. Like, she didn't completely acquiesce to the feelings between the two mains. Like they just, I don't know. I feel like the character was like important, but I feel like the relationship would have developed in the same direction without the character. So like I feel like it made the story better that she was there, but she wasn't really necessary to really like hammer home like the key parts of the key points of development between the characters. I think a lot of my reasoning for that comes from the fact that I think Ryu had a bigger impact on the relationship with the negativity that he brought towards them by like that perceived fetish, well, not that, like kind of like what's the word, like he's what I'm looking for a specific word.
I knew what you were trying to say.
I know, me too. Preconceived notion.
Yeah, the preconceived notion.
Okay.
That the relationship that Taichi has, or his affection will always be clouded by the disability instead of it's just being a part of who Kohei is.
Which it's interesting that Kohei has been influenced by that when the whole story up until now, like the whole reason that Taichi became so important to him in the first place is because like he felt normal with Taichi, right? And also that Taichi was perceptive enough to realize the moments when Kohei needed like the extra attention, you know, but didn't make like a big deal out of it. So
but
the
Ryu,
fact that, I don't know.
oh, sorry for cutting you off, but like
Okay.
going back to Ryu's impact on all of this, Ryu kind of pointed out to him that what Taichi is doing isn't making it normal because he's making accommodations for him, which I think is kind of a really dangerous approach to handle things. Like it's kind of like downplaying that people with disabilities need certain accommodations, but also I can appreciate that Ryu doesn't want people defined by their disability.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's an asshole, but I think he has at least one or two decent points.
And you can kind of see too the connection between Ryu and Chiba. Like you can see their influence. Like I think Ryu's influence in how Chiba approaches things too. Like how we see it at the camp or the getaway retreat thing. How he tells Taichi that Taichi isn't allowed to use sign language to accommodate the girl because he's like, she's gonna have to learn to like figure out how to accommodate herself and figure out how to live in the world too.
Yeah.
Which
But
I thought was
also
interesting.
Yeah, the other aspect of that that's another whole story that I really, really liked, because that was another one where it felt like the setup led the reader to be like, well, why can't he just help? Like, what's the big fucking deal? I don't get it, you know? And the fact that they took the time to explain it in a way where you're like, oh shit, I hadn't really thought of that. Like the fact that if he helps her now, she's not going to create bonds with people that she's supposed to be in a working relationship with. Like they need to understand her and she needs to understand them. And if he's like in the way of that as like an interpreter and then he's gone, then the retreat was pointless, right? And like I hadn't thought of that at all until like it just felt, they do a really good job of making you feel like, God, Chiba's such an asshole. Like, and then on the other side you're like, no, Chiba just knows, he just knows way more, right? Like he knows way more about how things work and what people need to get out of different experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Oh my goodness.
Hi.
You're blessed.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like having that whole perspective come in, like you were saying, Dodger, it's not anything that I like thought about before. Like we read Koi no Katachi, A Silent Voice. Like we read that, which deals with a deaf character. And so we read that a long time ago. And so like Lou, were you there when we read that one? I feel like you were, right?
Yeah, I was there and I really fucking hated it.
I know, that's what I was
So much.
I was like, I feel like you didn't like it. So how do you guys, just because they kind of deal with the same idea and the same kind of material, what do you guys think comparatively? Like, do you think you can compare the two at all? Or what are your guys' thoughts?
I'll be fair and say that as much as I didn't like Koi no Katachi, I feel like we didn't read enough to make it so there's a fair comparison that could be drawn between them. Because so much of Koi no Katachi was the main boy off and doing his thing, you know, and not really spending a lot of time with main girl. So I feel like I feel like if we read more, you know, maybe there'll be more parallels that could be drawn.
Yeah.
If I remember right, I feel like both Lou and I, when we read Koi no Katachi, I feel like both of us had said that that we were surprised there were so many chapters where you kind of forgot that she was deaf.
Yeah, I was that way too.
I never forgot that Kohei was hard of hearing in this ever. Like I think they did a good job of having at least a moment in each chapter where you remember and it wasn't like forced, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk about Kohei. How do you guys feel about his character from how we first saw him and then how he's developed through the series so far?
You're such a sad boy.
I still don't understand what he wants to do with his life.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm like, human resources.
Law school?
He wants to do law?
Thanks.
Human resource law?
Yeah. He's more motivated than he was before. That's all I know.
Sure, yeah.
Super moody, you know.
He is so
that's
moody.
really.
He's a moody boy.
Like, you know, he has his moments with Taichi where he takes the lead and they get really intimate. But that aside, for like 90% of this manga, he's really just moody and kind of like in his own head. Like concerned about how the world perceives him and how many times is he gonna have to have this conversation and where he has to explain his circumstances to strangers that he's hard of hearing. So
you can tell the way that it's written, they do a really good job of making you feel like he's very insecure. You know, like that those moments when he gets irritated about like Taichi having fun with people or being with other people, like it doesn't ever feel controlling. It doesn't ever feel like, oh, he's just being like weird and possessive. It's always like rooted in this place of I feel like you're in another world right now, right? Like I feel like you're in a space that I'm not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
So I think that his character is really interesting in those moments. And maybe that's why, because that is a very like odd shoujo thing, right? Where like you see the person that you like with someone else and you're like, oh, I see how it is. Right?
Yeah.
But I think in this one, those sorts of moments just wound up being kind of like character development. So
yeah, because they did a good job with his backstory of bringing up why he is so like why he was so moved by Taichi too, and that when that Taichi's voice is like what broke through, and that I really thought it was interesting how he when Miho asked him if about like Taichi and why he likes him, and Kohei brought up the fact that he, even though he's deaf, like he would not, or that he's hard of hearing, he wouldn't want to give it up because then that would mean that he would be giving up having met Taichi and getting to meet him. And so it was a nice positive spin from a character who had so far been very like negative about what he had, because he'd gone through a lot of stuff, and it's like obviously it's understandable that he would have that kind of idea about his hearing. And so then to have him have that little change, I really liked that part. I thought it was really sweet and a nice character development. You could kind of understand why he is so attached to Taichi too, and how he is feeling. Like you could really understand how he fell in love. Like his feelings made sense. They didn't feel empty, which a lot of times it can feel kind of forced. I think in a lot of romance where it feels kind of stale. For this, they really made you understand his viewpoint about why he fell in love with Taichi and why Taichi is the one that he's in love with. And it's not just because of who Taichi is as a person, it's because of how Taichi makes Kohei feel about himself and about his own hearing disability.
Cool. I think you basically nailed like Kohei's character. Yeah. As for Taichi, he's just loud as fuck.
He's so loud. I love
he's just a he is a loud boy that means well.
I agree. I love that the other hard of hearing, when Miho like hears him, Kohei's like, you heard him too. What were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say like every time he would do something like get into fights or stupid shit like that, like be a shonen protagonist.
Yeah.
Like I would forget that I was reading a shonen ai series for like those few pages every now and then his heart would go thump, like it would go like doki doki, and he would like get lost in Kohei's arms, and it wasn't jarring either. Like it felt like this character can also be gay, and it like he doesn't have to fall within a certain archetype.
Yeah. And he can like feel those emotions too without ever feeling like it was never made to feel like he demasculated. There was never any demasculating anything happening. Like he was that character, and when he was blushing and when he was having his heart race and like confessing to Kohei, like it still felt like he was Taichi. Like it didn't feel like a completely different character, which I think happens with a lot of these characters. Like their reactions and their way they handle situations feels like the characters, which is really nice.
I walked away for a sec, but I agree.
Good.
The long point was Taichi is a loud boy with a good heart.
Yeah.
He's a loud boy with a good heart. I agree.
Let's talk about art. What are you guys' feelings about the art?
I thought the art. Oh, you can go first, Dukes.
Do it.
Okay. There were a lot of really well drawn and pretty panels in this manga. But they were the focal point. Like there was always a narrative reason for the manga to look like really great in some parts, like especially like the snow confession. I thought that was exceedingly well drawn, and like I felt like I understood what was going on the entire time, and like it was just well done. And then there's all the times that Taichi is kind of in his workplace, which are instances where the art is not as good. It's just kind of like, all right, the mangaka just going, all right, well, I have to draw this, and I want to get to the boys being cute part, so we're just gonna do this real fast. So, I think the art overall is pretty decent. It has some shortcomings, but not enough where I would like say that there was a constant pitfall that or an inadequacy that the mangaka has. Like it all comes down to like, all right, well, this part is not important, so it doesn't have to look pristine, and I have to keep a schedule, So yeah, the art's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, and character designs were they were pretty decent.
I could tell who people were.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for.
Except for the friend who always wears the hat. Whenever he took his hat off, I was like, who the fuck are you? Oh.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Side note, I did want to say about him, I liked that even only in his instance that it showed like one of Taichi's friends has been listening.
Yeah.
Is like learning along with Taichi and like paying attention and isn't just into Miho because she's like super cute.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's learning. What a good boy.
He's got I like watching their like little relationship develop. I love watching side couples get together.
Me too.
So I'm like, oh, you guys are going on a date and he's blushing and it's so cute.
Typically, and like, not that I have a problem with this, but typically for whatever reason, in a shonen ai manga, it'll turn out that like there's like 8 other dude couples that are in the same town that just like sprout up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Out of the side characters. And part of me was like, oh, it's really nice that the one other couple that we've gotten any focus on is like a heterosexual that's so rare.
Yeah.
It's odd that that's rare, but like that's really rare.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like normalizes the relationship of the main cast
Mhm.
instead of like drawing too much attention to it.
Yeah. And it's also like, even with Chiba, like the fact it's so typical to have that character come in and have like literally everybody is falling in love with Taichi. Like in a different manga, everyone would be falling in love with Taichi, and that's one of the reasons why when Kohei was starting to get jealous about Chiba, I was like, oh no, Chiba's gonna like make a move on Taichi. Like when he went and got him when the rainstorm, when Chiba picked him up, I was like, oh no, like Chiba's gonna kiss him, like something's gonna happen, there's gonna be this drama about a new love triangle, and that didn't happen. And it's still like there's been no point that like Chiba has shown any sort of interest in Taichi in that way, like at all. And it's the same with like Ryu. Like Ryu could totally be doing that same thing to Kohei, and that's not happening. And so it's just the fact that all those like tropes and cliches I'm expecting from reading other shonen or yaoi, I'm like, haven't happened, or they've been teased and then it's completely opposite or just doesn't. I'm like, yes, this is so nice.
The other trope that always happens is this is so specific, but like the one who confessed first, the first one who was like, holy shit, I think I'm in love with this dude, winds up being like, but I can't ruin their life, so I'm gonna date a girl now.
Yes.
And there were 2 instances where I thought that was happening and it wasn't. I was like, I got duped twice. The first time was when Miho showed up, and I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be the like, she's also hard of hearing, and it's gonna be like a marriage of convenience situation where he's like, I've got to get rid of these feelings. And Miho gets me, right? Didn't happen at all. There's been no romantic thing at all between them, which I love. Other time was when his fucking stupid friend was like, hey, did you hear he's got a girlfriend?
Yeah.
And I was like, and then he was like, I do have a girlfriend. And I was like, no, god damn it. We fell into it. We fell into the obvious shit. And then it was his mom. It was so good. He was like, I don't have a girlfriend. It was my drunk mom. I thought that was so good. I was like, oh, beautiful mom.
It's like, yay!
Oh, God. But yeah, that's pretty all right.
I was just gonna try and segue it back.
Totally back.
So, while Diggs was talking about a drunk mom, I looked up the mangaka on Mal, and apparently the other manga that they have listed here is just a josei series about a newlywed couple.
Aww. I actually really want to read that. I did see that the mangaka has a twin sister who is also writing a Shonen Ai series.
What?
And
that's crazy.
They have, like, the art isn't exactly the same, but you can definitely tell that there's these little influences where you're like, did you guys learn how to draw together? Because your 2 main characters also look exactly alike. So I kind of want to go and read that one, too, because the screen grabs I saw of it looked like it was like kind of the same, like handled the relationship the same way that this kind of handles it. So,
but is it Kohei or Taichi as the main character that's in the other series?
No, both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Okay, so. All right, so I don't have to feel like the characters are like being unfaithful, because if I'm gonna look at one of them, I'm gonna be like, so mad.
They need to be together.
You bitch, your man's in the other one.
Leave this.
I'm so upset by these fictional characters.
Oh my goodness. Digger, did you have any other thoughts about the art that you wanted to touch on?
I didn't notice what Lou was saying about like the not as flowy romantic moments being like noticeably different in art quality. Mm-hmm. But it might be because I was so like, I really loved all of the stuff having to do with his work. If that hasn't come across yet, I really loved all of the shit that had to do with like helping the deaf community or like learning from the deaf community and talking with the deaf community. I was like, this is all fucking awesome. Yeah. So I didn't I honestly didn't notice that there was any difference.
Yeah. I
I
think
mean, like
It all looked fine to me.
from a story perspective, I thought all of that shit was great. From a character perspective, like it added those sections added so much. But like I would imagine that a lot of it had to do with there are more characters like in a panel and more things were going on.
yeah.
So it couldn't have that much detail.
Right.
Yeah. I really like the art. I love how it fits the story so well, and it's just so soft and pretty. It's not like amazing or detailed or anything, but there's a lot of the proportions always felt normal, like the facial expressions always conveyed what they were trying to convey. I really liked the way that they drew the impact of like the really impactful emotional moments, or like the build up, like even when the like sweet moments between the guys and things like that. I thought the art was really good and did really well for especially the kind of manga and the atmosphere that it wanted to tell. But yeah, there was never like I said, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best art I've ever seen in any manga, but it does it does like decent what. And there were a few times where I was like, oh, that face looks a little funny, or like it just felt cluttered. I think it was like kind of what you were saying, like when there was a lot going on, things felt a lot more cluttered and like kind of lost a little bit of detail here and there. But I really enjoyed the art overall and thought it fit the story really well. Do you guys have anything else you would like to touch on? Otherwise, we can wrap up and give our final thoughts and ratings.
No, I'm good.
I don't think so.
Would anybody like to go first for ratings?
I'll go first. I got a number in mind.
Do it.
Cool, because I'm trying to think of my number.
All right, so I enjoyed this a lot. Of the Shonen Ai and Yaoi series that we read, this is probably my favorite. I'd put it above basically all the Yuri that we've read too. It was a fun series with believable characters, and the romance was really well done, which normally I'm not a fan of how like manga and anime handle romance, but this really nailed it. I had some minor issues with the art, but it looked good enough when it really had to. Like it's not like it was always if it needs to look amazing, it's going to look amazing. And I never felt like I was let down by the art quality for like the really important bits. Like, you know, major character introductions or confession scenes or like the intimate romantic moments. Like all of that felt like there was enough narrative weight to warrant it getting the artistic detail that the mangaka is capable of. So I feel like an 8 is a fair score for this manga. I feel like I have no idea where the story is heading long term. You know, like that is a concern that I have.
That is my thing as well.
Because I feel like they're in the relationship now. Okay, what's going to happen? You know, and like all right, the plus side is that there means that there's a lot of potential for it to grow in new and unique and interesting ways. The downside is it could be that the mangaka doesn't have direction apart from like where they are right now, which that is the worst thing that could happen for this manga. So yeah, an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't mind reading more.
I also was going to give it an 8 because I really enjoyed it. It was different from what I was expecting, and I really like the characters, and I want them to be happy, and I got invested for sure. But I have the same feelings as Lou, where I'm wondering where it's gonna go from here, and if it's gonna spend more time sort of running in circles with the same miscommunication problems, in which case that'll be a little frustrating. But I do like the way that it's been paced and the way that the story's been told so far. So I'm excited to read more in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and 8 was where I was leaning towards as well. I just really loved the characters and the development of the relationship and how they impact each other and how defined the characters are. And watching them all, not just the two mains, but the side characters too, coming in and impacting the main relationship, and also just how they all go together and how great it's been to see every relationship develop. And I feel like it handles different big emotions and also hard-hitting topics, such as like the deaf, like living in the deaf community, living with a disability, and like bringing in all these different viewpoints that I'd never thought about before, but handling them really delicately and in a way that gives you the perspective of both sides. And so I really appreciate that. And when I went into this manga, like Dodger was saying earlier, was not expecting that to be something that is handled in a BL manga. And so getting to see that was really great. I love the art, thought it was really pretty and suited the story really well. And I just think it's a very well developed story that's been paced really well. And I have the same reservations that you guys do. That is it like ramping and soon going to conclude, or is it going to get dragged on and on and on, which, like Lou said, would be the worst thing to happen with this manga. And I'm excited to see where the main relationship goes, but also have the trepidation of hopefully it doesn't get drawn out for drama either. So I overall really enjoy this manga, and I think if you're looking for a romance that's done really well, and a friendship story that's done really well, and just something that's very slice of life and sweet, I think it's one that you guys should definitely go and check out. And you will not, I don't think you would ever be upset about reading this. It's not a waste of time. It's really refreshing and a nice story. So I like it. 8 out of 10 from me as well. So
Nice.
yeah. So that wraps up our discussion on Hidamari no Kikoeru. Kikoeru. And let's go ahead and read the manga that we are going to read, the description for the manga that we're going to be reading next week. I believe Duger is going to read one and Lou is going to read the other.
Oh my
Two.
gosh,
We have
read
two.
mangoes next week. Are you excited? Okay.
You guys get to guess what it is, by the way.
After graduating from college, Mako went straight to work as an office lady, but she can't help feeling there should be something more to life. Determined to find a worthier goal, she quits work. But can she actually make her nebulous dreams come true? And how will her sudden decision affect her relationship with her boyfriend, blank? I didn't put any blanks in there because it didn't feel necessary, so I put a blank at the end.
All right, so that's one. I'll go ahead and I'll read the other one. Okay. All right. In a seaside town where very little happens, middle school students, blank and blank, live a rather dull life. But when blank's crush breaks her heart, their situation becomes quite unordinary. She starts a no-strings-attached relationship with blank, whom she had previously rejected, both finding solace in the other in order to fill the emotional voids in their lives. However, being friends with benefits becomes complicated when real feelings begin to develop, as the consequences of their relationship start to take their toll on those around them and themselves. As a middle school teacher, it's really fucking weird to read this one.
Come on, chat. You got it. Girl on the shore. That's one of them.
Yeah, good job, Bobby.
Good job, Avi. That's one.
But which one did I read? I didn't even blank anything, guys. Well, I blanked
you blanked one thing. Thank you. Good job.
I blanked one word.
That's what's really throwing him off.
I know.
That
Shit.
one
They're like,
word.
fuck. If only I knew his name.
The unifying thread between these two mangas, they're both done by Inyo Asano.
Yeah. And they're short enough that we can read both of them.
Yeah.
Same mangaka.
Mm-hmm. Amazing mangaka.
Yeah.
Who technically is on our schedule 3 times this year.
Yes.
This semester.
I know. I'm very happy with it.
Lou's a fan.
Yes.
I own everything.
That should be a good hit. Don't know why I just snapped at you guys, but
That should be a good
so
hint,
slow.
y'all. Get your shit together.
Yes, Girl on the Shore is one that we are reading next week.
Real quick, while we're waiting for them to guess, super like maturity warning for a girl on a shore.
Yeah.
So
I remember you
much,
saying that.
so much nudity, like a lot of it, So like, be careful if and when you read this manga.
Got it. Read on the train.
Yeah. I'm going to read it on the plane. With my child sitting next to me. That's
Perfect,
good parenting, right? Waiting. We'll give another minute or so. Cause they're banging.
Because they banging.
Yes.
Correct. Oh no.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Solinen?
It's Solinen.
It's Solinen.
Solinen. Solinen.
Solananan. Girl on the Shore and Solananan.
See, I expected chat to guess Solinen.
I did too.
Solinen, I've heard more people read Solinen than Poon Poon, to be honest.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, because Solinen was licensed before Poon Poon and Girl on the Shore.
Oh.
Did it come?
So
Did it come out before Poon Poon? Was it one of his earlier works, or did it just come out while Poon Poon was still ongoing?
Solinen came out in 2005. So I think it
Okay,
was
so it's before Poon Poon.
Yeah.
Yes, so we are reading all of those. They're not super long, which is why we're reading both of them.
It's about 2 volumes each.
Yeah. So that is what we will be reading for next week. Let's go around and shout out our stuff super fast. I am Erin of Happily Erin. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Happily Erin. Previous MangaPods are hosted there. I haven't really posted any anime related videos otherwise, but if you want to go and check out all my old stuff, I have like anime reviews, first impressions, top 11-ish lists, things like that, as well as mental health awareness videos. I am much more active on Twitter right now. I'm Happily Erin all across the everything. I'm currently working on a book, which is where all of my writing and time and stuff goes to. So I've been trying to do writing streams here and there. So if you ever want to check those out, I'll tweet about it. And that'll be on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Happily Erin. So that's me.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Dodger. You can find me at Dex Bonus on pretty much everything. I also have not been putting very much of anything on my YouTube channel, but I do stream a lot. And I have a cute baby that I put pictures of up sometimes, and yeah, that's about it. I don't know. If you like goof 'em ups, come hang out with me.
My name's Lou, and I'm from Lou Talks Anime. On YouTube, I rarely post content, but I'm working on probably my last. All right, context. I like making videos about the community, and I think that's fun, but I'm sick of it. But there's one last big one that I really want to get done, and then I want to go back to making content regularly that's strictly anime related and not community bullshit. I just want to talk about anime because that's my name, right? And but outside of that, talk to me on Twitter at Lou Talks Anime.
Awesome. Well, that's where you can find all of our stuff. If you want more MangaPod, we have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod. The schedule for the upcoming months is there, as well as a recommendation thread. So if there's anything you guys would like us to check out and possibly put on the next schedule, then go ahead and leave a comment there. If it's already posted, go ahead and upvote it so that we know that that is something you guys would like us to check out. We will be here same time, same place next week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Sorry, I heard heard a
buzzing.
buzz. Okay.
I also heard a buzzing.
Okay, I'm glad. I was like, am I going crazy? We will be talking A Girl on the Shore and Slonin. Both of each. They're about 2 volumes each, so it shouldn't be too intense. It sounds like a lot more than it is, but we hope that you guys will join us for that. And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.